Welcome to Jambo Safari Media. You are watching Jambo News with me, Tracy Wamboy. Let's look at what's making headlines today. Geoffrey Goldberg's national security controversy. Ukrainian President Zelensky's call for US support. Turkish student arrested amid immigration crackdown. Poland suspends asylum rights for migrants. Trump's 25% tariffs on car imports. Arrest of Riek Machar signal crisis for South Sudan's fragile peace. They invited me and now they're attacking me. That's the surprising twist in the story of Geoffrey Goldberg, editor of The Atlantic, who found himself in a private chat with the senior US officials discussing sensitive military operations. What began as an unexpected invite has spiraled into a national security controversy. Goldberg was mistakenly added to a Signal group chat where top US officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, discussed details of an upcoming military operation in Yemen. Unaware of his presence, they shared sensitive information that would later spark significant controversies. Well, here's what the journalist said in an exclusive interview with the BBC.
So the reason to post it is because I think people should see for themselves. They're saying nothing happened. I'm saying that this represents a serious breach in national security and communications. And so, you know what? That's what journalism is for. Here, go look at it for yourselves and decide if this represented a serious breach of secrecy and national security.
But based on your decades of covering national security, when you initially saw this, you had concern that there was something in there that the public shouldn't see.
It sent a chill down my spine. I mean, I'm getting on my phone, sitting in a supermarket parking lot, a plan from the Secretary of Defense about an attack that's coming up in 2 hours. So, and I don't know who else is on the Signal chat. I mean, that's actually extremely dangerous to say that American warplanes are launching in 30 minutes to attack Houthi targets in Yemen. There's only so many Houthi targets in Yemen. If that information had fallen to the wrong hands, not my hands sitting in a locked car in a parking lot, in a Safeway parking lot, if that had fallen to the wrong hands, American pilots would be in even more danger than they are simply by participating in an attack on an enemy with anti-aircraft capabilities. So I was astonished, shocked, appalled, you name the word, I'll give it to you. I don't, even as someone who covers national security, I'm less interested in the technical details, especially of an immediately forthcoming attack. The weapons packages, what time they're doing it, what the weather is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm less interested in that than I am in the why. Why are you attacking Yemen now? And then after the fact, did the attack work? What are the goals of the attack? How many people died? How many guilty people died? How many innocent people died? You know, the large questions. But I don't need that information, and the truth is, I don't want that information. Like, I'm not qualified to handle that information, and I recognize, even as a reporter who wants to know everything, I recognize that there are some things for operational reasons should not be discussed lightly. But what you have here is the Secretary of Defense discussing in a Signal chat, doesn't even know that the editor of The Atlantic is in the Signal chat, and is giving out precise timings and sequencings of an attack on a very dangerous enemy of the United States.
The incident raises an important question. Shouldn't those in positions of power be held to the same standards of accountability as anyone else, especially when mishandling sensitive information? Stay tuned for updates. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is calling on the United States to stand strong against Russian demands for lifting sanctions as a condition for a ceasefire in the Black Sea. In a recent panel interview in Paris, he voiced his concerns about Moscow's pressure. Let's take a closer look at the details. In his interview, Zelensky expressed hope that the US would resist Russian demands. He highlighted that the Kremlin's conditions for a maritime truce included lifting Western sanctions on food and fertilizer trade. While the White House confirmed a ceasefire agreement after talks in Saudi Arabia, the EU remains firm, stating it will not lift sanctions until Russian troops withdraw from Ukraine. Zelensky acknowledged bipartisan US support but warned that some officials might be influenced by Russian narratives. He asserted that they could not agree to those narratives. When discussing US relations, he noted the complexity of President Trump's connections, stating that he did not know what relationship he's got. Zelensky also emphasized his commitment to defending Ukraine, declaring that he would do everything until the end of his days to defend Ukraine. As Europe gears up for a meeting on support for Ukraine, Zelensky's message is clear. Strong international backing is crucial. Will the US and its allies respond? A Turkish student at Tarrifs University has been arrested by US immigration officials during a crackdown on perceived anti-Semitism on American campuses. Rumeisa Oztak was detained while walking to an iftar meal. Here's what we know. Rumeisa Oztak was taken into custody by masked immigration agents on Tuesday. Tarrifs University confirmed that her student visa had been revoked, but the school stated it had no prior knowledge of the arrest. Oztak, a doctorate student, participated in pro-Palestinian protests, which has drawn scrutiny from US officials amid ongoing efforts to combat anti-Semitism in educational institutions. Critics argue that these actions violate students' rights to free speech. A federal judge initially ordered Oztuk to be detained in Massachusetts. However, she is currently being held in Lausinia, about 1,500 miles away. Civil rights groups, including the SCLU, have condemned the government's actions, asserting that they undermine constitutional protections for free expression. As this situation develops, the implication for free speech on campuses remains a pressing concern. We'll continue to monitor this story closely. Poland has temporarily suspended the right of migrants arriving via its border with Belarus to apply for asylum. Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced the decision following the signing of a controversial bill aimed at strengthening border security. Here are the details. The new law allows Polish authorities to suspend asylum applications for up to 60 days. Tusk stated that the measure would be implemented immediately, emphasizing the need for enhanced security. However, the law has drawn criticism from human rights organizations, including Human Rights Watch, which argues it violates Poland's international obligations. The Polish government claims the suspension will only apply to individuals deemed a threat to state security, such as large groups of migrants attempting to storm the border. Exemptions are planned for vulnerable groups, including unaccompanied minors, pregnant women, and those at risk of serious harm if returned. Tusk has dismissed the concerns raised by rights groups, stating that nobody is talking about violating human rights. Since 2021, there has been a significant increase in illegal crossings from Belarus into Poland and other neighboring countries, with reports of over 100 deaths at the borders. The European Union has accused Belarus and Russia of weaponizing migrants to destabilize the region. As tensions continue at the Poland-Belarus border, the implications for migrants seeking asylum remains critical. We will keep you up to date on the developing story. President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on car imports and car parts, a move that could escalate the ongoing global trade. The tariffs will take place on April 2nd, and here are the key details. The tariffs, which will be applied to cars not made in the United States, are expected to impact the automotive industry significantly. Trump claims this measure will lead to tremendous growth for U.S. manufacturers and create jobs.
We're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy.
However, analysts warn it could result in temporary production shutdowns, increased vehicle prices, and strained international relations. The U.S. imported approximately 8 million cars last year, valued at around $240 billion. Mexico is the largest supplier of cars to the U.S., followed by South Korea, Japan, Canada, and Germany. The new tariffs threaten to disrupt global trade and supply chains, particularly as many U.S. automakers operate in Mexico and Canada under existing trade agreements. While the tariffs will apply to car parts, those from Canada and Mexico will initially be exempted as the White House sets up a duty assessment system. In response, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba indicates that Japan would consider its options given its status as a major car exporter. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called the tariffs a direct attack on Canada's automotive sector, while EU officials expressed concerns about the potential negative impact on their economies. As the situation develops, the implications for the global automotive industry and U.S. consumers remain significant. We will continue to follow up on this story closely. The arrest of South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar has led to a collapse of the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's civil war. Security forces detained Machar and his wife, Interior Minister Angelina Teny, during a raid on his residence in Juba, raising fears of a renewed conflict. Machar's detention, described by the Sudan People's Liberation Movement in opposition as a significant breach of the peace agreement, has raised alarms about the stability of South Sudan. The deputy leader stated that this action effectively nullifies the fragile peace that had been in place since 2018, which aimed to end a conflict that resulted in nearly 400,000 deaths. The UN has warned that the country is on a brink of renewed civil war, with escalating tensions between Machar and President Salva Kiir. Reports indicate a heavy military presence around Machar's home in Juba, and local residents express concerns about potential violence as the situation develops. In addition, the UN mission in South Sudan reaffirmed that a return to widespread conflict could have devastating consequences for the nation and the region. As fears grow, several embassies, including those of the UK and US, have begun scaling back their diplomatic presence and advising citizens to leave the country to ensure their safety. As diplomatic efforts continue, the future of peace in South Sudan hangs in the balance. We'll keep you up to date on this developing story. Thank you for watching. That's a wrap for today. Thank you for joining us on Jambo News. Remember to hit that subscribe button. Well, till next time, stay safe and informed.